The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Carl Jung, some people enter our lives quietly and yet leave an imprint that echoes in our spirit long after they're gone. You try to move on, but their presence lingers, not in your hands, but in your thoughts, your dreams, your prayers. Why do you keep thinking about them again and again without meaning to? Spiritually, no connection is ever truly random. There's always a deeper reason for their impact. When someone remains in your mind constantly, it's often because a soul-to-soul reaction has taken place. Just like chemistry, spiritual connections can spark transformation, awaken buried emotions, and stir the unconscious. Their memory isn't just in your mind, it lives in your energy field, your heart space, your soul memory. This repeated remembrance may be a sign that something within you is still shifting, still healing. It could be an unresolved feeling, or a divine invitation to understand your inner world more deeply. What if that person showed up in your life not to stay, but to awaken? Perhaps they brought light to a hidden shadow, or triggered a part of your identity you never knew existed. Today, I invite you to awaken that inner longing for authentic change, to break free from the chains of obsession and step into the light of your true self, just as Carl Jung envisioned through his profound insights into the human psyche. Imagine reclaiming your spiritual energy, no longer drained by endless replays of memories or fantasies, but instead channeling it toward genuine growth and soulful connections. This isn't just about stopping the thoughts. It's about transforming them into a pathway for spiritual awakening, where you embrace the wholeness Jung called individuation. Why do we obsessively think about someone who drains our spirit, even when we know it's not healthy? According to Jung, these thoughts often stem from the unconscious mind's attempt to signal unresolved wounds, creating a spiritual imbalance that fixates our energy on external projections rather than inner harmony. In Jung's framework, our unconscious holds archetypes, universal patterns like the anima or animus, that represent unmet aspects of ourselves, turning ordinary people into symbols of our deepest needs. Obsessive thinking becomes a spiritual call from the psyche, urging us to integrate these shadows and move towards self-realization. Over the next steps, we'll explore a transformative journey, a 5-part path to understand and transcend this fixation, turning it from a source of depletion into a catalyst for authentic soul connections. By examining the root of these thoughts, we can uncover how they block our spiritual progress and begin reclaiming our inner energy for a life of true freedom. Let's dive deeper into the root of the wound that fuels this obsessive cycle, drawing from Jung's ideas of the unconscious as a hidden wellspring of our spiritual struggles. Often, these constant thoughts trace back to early life experiences of emotional deprivation or trauma, creating core wounds like feelings of abandonment or unworthiness that linger in the shadows of our psyche. Jung taught that these wounds manifest as archetypes, such as the shadow, which we project onto others, leading to a fixation that drains our spiritual vitality. Through projection, we see in that person aspects of ourselves we're afraid to face, turning them into an illusion of connection that keeps us tethered and spiritually stagnant. The consequence is a painful cycle. We're drawn to individuals who mirror our unhealed parts, hindering the individuation process Jung described as the path to wholeness. Spiritually, this fixation prevents our soul from evolving, as we're caught in a loop of external validation instead of nurturing internal harmony. To break free, we must recognize the signs that our soul is seeking wholeness, turning obsessive thoughts from a burden into a beacon for growth. One sign is a strong intuition, what Jung called the collective unconscious at work, whispering that these thoughts are more than mere infatuation. They are called to integrate forgotten parts of ourselves. Deep empathy often surfaces, connecting us to archetypes that reveal our soul's unmet needs, reminding us that we deserve spiritually nourishing relationships. Natural creativity might emerge as an expression of the self trying to break through the obsession, guiding us toward individuation. And that inexplicable magnetism? It's likely the influence of the anima or animus, drawing us to explore and embrace our inner depths. These signs show that obsessive thoughts are the soul's way of signaling the need for integration, highlighting areas where we've neglected our spiritual path. By understanding them, we can differentiate between a genuine spiritual bond and a superficial crush, redirecting our energy towards self-love and true alignment. Now, let's discern how to tell if your constant thoughts signal a soul connection or just simple attraction, using Jung's lens to cut through the confusion. A true soul connection catalyzes spiritual growth, pushing you toward individuation by revealing and integrating your shadow aspects in a balanced way. It brings emotional stability, offering deep, enduring insights rather than impulsive energy drains, as Jung emphasized for psychic harmony. Honest reflection is key. This connection mirrors both your light and shadow, fostering wholeness without idealization or fantasy. On the other hand, superficial attraction is intense but short-lived, often a projection of archetypes that leads to spiritual exhaustion and delays your path to self-realization. Jung warned that such fixations trap us in the persona, our ego's facade, preventing authentic spiritual connections and keeping us in a cycle of discontent. To navigate this, try a practical exercise. The 3-level emotional journal. After a thought or encounter, note level 1 for surface feelings, level 2 for unconscious projections, and level 3 for spiritual lessons toward individuation. Through this discernment, you'll learn to redirect obsessive energy, paving the way for complete self-love that dissolves these patterns once and for all. When you embrace your soul fully, obsessive thoughts begin to fade, and that's where the real magic of self-love comes in, as Jung so wisely illuminated. Self-love means accepting your shadow, the dark aspects you've hidden, while respecting your spiritual needs and setting firm boundaries to protect your energy. This acceptance raises your spiritual vibration, filtering out relationships born from projection and inviting ones that truly support your individuation journey. From a Jungian perspective, self-love integrates the unconscious, reducing the urge to project onto others and transforming obsessive thoughts into pathways of self-awareness. Make it a daily practice with mirror work. Stand before a mirror. Affirm your wholeness like, I integrate my shadow and embrace my soul's path, and journal the insights that arise. As you do this, you'll challenge the old beliefs that equate spiritual growth with sacrifice, opening up to a more empowered way of living. Many of us hold onto the belief that obsessive thoughts are a spiritual necessity, like enduring pain for love, but it's time to break that chain and reclaim your freedom. This belief often originates from upbringing or societal norms that glorify the savior archetype, leading to codependency and a cycle of projection that blocks individuation. The consequences are profound: spiritual depletion, loss of identity, and a persistent drain on your energy that keeps you from true self-realization. Jung offered a new framework. True spiritual love is a mutual exchange that honors boundaries, turning obsessive thoughts into opportunities for genuine growth. Start with a simple practice. Create a yes, no list of spiritual boundaries, like, I will not obsess over projections. I will prioritize my individuation path. Use assertive communication through journaling or even imagine dialogues to affirm your needs, gradually diminishing the power of those constant thoughts. As you release this belief, you'll feel a shift, stepping into a life where your spirit is no longer held captive, but free to flourish. Now, as we near the end, let's share the core message that ties all this together, drawing from Jung's timeless wisdom on the spiritual journey. Remember, obsessive thoughts are not a curse, but a spiritual whisper from the unconscious, inviting you to integrate your shadow and pursue individuation for profound soul freedom. By heeding this call, you transform fixation into liberation, allowing authentic connections to emerge naturally in your life. Jung's teachings remind us that every obsession is an opportunity, a chance to reclaim the parts of ourselves we've projected outward. Embrace this process, and you'll find that the peace you seek has been within you all along, waiting for your courageous step forward. Let this message resonate. Your spirit is resilient, capable of turning even the most persistent thoughts into stepping stones for growth. As you carry this forward, know that you're not alone in this journey. Jung's insights have guided many before you toward wholeness. Finally, to make this transformation real and lasting, here's a clear action plan to apply what we've explored and foster long-term spiritual growth. Start with a 30-day journal practice. Each day, write about your obsessive thoughts using Jungian prompts like, what archetype am I projecting, and how does it hinder my individuation? This daily reflection will help you track patterns and uncover deeper insights, gradually loosening the grip of those constant fixations. Alongside that, implement weekly boundary practices. Limit contact with the person who's occupying your thoughts, and then reflect on how your spiritual energy shifts as a result. For instance, set aside time each week to evaluate your interactions, asking yourself, does this align with my path to wholeness, or is it feeding my shadow? Over time, these exercises will build your resilience, turning what was once a source of pain into a foundation for a spiritual strength. Don't forget the power of community. Join or form a group, like an online forum, to discuss your journey and share insights from the collective unconscious. In these spaces, you'll find accountability and support, as others on similar paths offer perspectives that enrich your own growth. Make it a habit to celebrate small victories. Each time you redirect an obsessive thought, acknowledge it as a step toward your authentic self. Remember, Jung believed that individuation is a lifelong process, so be patient and kind with yourself as you progress. By the end of these 30 days, you'll likely notice a profound shift. Less fixation, more inner peace, and a clearer sense of your spiritual direction. If challenges arise, revisit the 3-level emotional journal or your yes/no list to stay grounded and focused. This action plan isn't just about stopping thoughts. It's about rewiring your spirit to attract relationships that honor your wholeness. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of freedom, where your mind is your ally, not a tormentor, thanks to Jung's guiding principles. As you integrate these practices, you'll begin to see obsessive thoughts for what they are: temporary signposts on your path to enlightenment. Let this be the start of your new chapter, where authenticity blooms and your soul connections are rooted in truth, not projection. Jung once said that the greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents. Don't let unexamined thoughts become your burden. Live fully instead. Take this moment to commit. Choose one action from this plan today, and watch as it ripples into lasting change. Your longing for freedom is valid, and with these steps, you're answering the call of your deepest self. In closing, remember that spiritual growth is not about perfection, but about progress, one integrated shadow at a time. You've got the tools, the insight, and now the momentum. Go forth and embrace the authentic life that's waiting for you. May your journey with Jung's wisdom lead you to a place of profound peace, where obsessive thoughts dissolve into the beauty of your awakened spirit. In Carl Jung's view, these obsessive thoughts often stem from the unconscious mind, acting as a signal from deep within our psyche. They represent projections of our own unmet needs, where the person becomes a mirror for our shadow self, the parts we hide or deny. This spiritual imbalance occurs because we're fixated on external validation, rather than turning inward for true healing. Jung taught that the unconscious is like a vast ocean, and constant thoughts are waves crashing against the shore of our awareness. By obsessing over someone, we're ignoring the call for individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating our fragmented self. Think of it as a spiritual tether, pulling your energy away from personal growth and toward an illusion of connection. The anima or animus archetype plays a key role here, representing the idealized other that embodies what we lack in ourselves. When you constantly think about someone, you're projecting this archetype onto them, creating a fantasy that drains your soul's vitality. This isn't just emotional. It's a spiritual crisis, as Jung described, where your life force is siphoned into unresolved wounds from the past. To break free, we must first acknowledge that these thoughts are a call from the collective unconscious, urging us to confront our inner shadows. Let's trace back to the root of the wound, as outlined in Jungian psychoanalysis, to understand how early experiences fuel this obsession. Often, these thoughts originate from childhood traumas, like feelings of abandonment, which embed themselves in the unconscious as core wounds. Jung believed that such wounds manifest as archetypes, compelling us to seek out people who reflect our unhealed pain. Projection becomes the mechanism where we attribute our own shadow qualities to another, trapping us in a cycle of spiritual stagnation. The consequence is a profound energy drain, as your spirit remains fixated on external figures instead of pursuing individuation. Spiritually, this hinders your evolution, keeping you from the harmony Jung envisioned as the ultimate goal of self-realization. Recognizing the soul signs is the next step, where obsessive thoughts transform from a burden into a guide for wholeness. Signs that your soul is seeking include a deep intuition, drawing from Jung's collective unconscious, that something profound is at play. You might feel an inexplicable empathy toward the person, as if they're a vessel for your own unintegrated archetypes. Natural creativity surges, expressing the self that's been suppressed, signaling a need to reclaim your spiritual path. This magnetism isn't random. It's the anima or animus whispering that integration is necessary for true connection. Obsessive thoughts, in this light, are your soul's way of highlighting areas for growth, like unresolved shadow aspects demanding attention. By heeding these signs, you differentiate a genuine soul connection from mere attraction, fostering authentic spiritual bonds. Now, let's discern between the two, using Jung's lens to avoid the pitfalls of ego-driven fixation. A true soul connection catalyzes spiritual development, pushing you toward individuation by revealing your hidden shadows. It brings emotional stability, offering enduring insights rather than fleeting energy drains that Jung warned against. Honest reflection is key. It mirrors both your light and darkness, promoting wholeness without idealization. In contrast, simple attraction is superficial, often a projection that leads to spiritual exhaustion and delays your inner journey. Jung described this as getting trapped in the persona, the ego's facade, which blocks real connections and perpetuates obsession. To practice discernment, try the 3-level emotional journal. First, note surface feelings. Second, uncover unconscious projections. Third, extract spiritual lessons for individuation. This exercise helps redirect obsessive energy towards self-love, the antidote that fades these thoughts naturally. Embracing complete self-love means accepting your shadow, as Jung emphasized, and setting boundaries to protect your spiritual energy. When you do this, your vibration rises, attracting relationships that support individuation rather than draining projections. From a Jungian perspective, Self-love integrates the unconscious, reducing the need to obsess over others as stand-ins for your own wholeness. Start with a daily mirror work ritual. Look into your eyes, affirm your completeness, and journal the insights that arise. Many believe that obsessive thoughts are a spiritual necessity, a sacrifice for love, but this myth only leads to depletion. Jung challenged this, showing that true spiritual love involves balanced energy exchange, not codependency or projection.